without limits or judgment. A place for you and people like you to tell your most effed up stories.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Effed Up Stories. I am your host, Will Pender.
And I am your co-host, Ryan Sharp.
And tonight we will be talking with a guest of the name Mike Belinsky, who has if you remember a little while back, we did an episode where we asked you people to listen to our podcast while you go to sleep, and if, it triggered any memories or things that you had pushed out of your conscious mind, that we wanted to hear from you. Like, hopefully that you had experienced something that, just keywords that we had talked in our podcast would have brought to the forefront. Well, in the case of Mike, it wasn't a past experience. It was more so that his house had become possessed to the point where they had to get in a priest in to exorcise the house. Not only did he get a priest in, but he has a video that actually you can hear, I would assume to be a demonic presence, say out. And you can see as the priest walks around the room and does his thing. So we'll actually splice that into the podcast. And Mike, as an artist, also has drawn up some of the pictures that he and his wife have dreamt during the couple of days or it wasn't a couple of days, I guess it was a couple of weeks that they had run this experiment for us. So we will be speaking with Mike now in a minute. Before we jump into that, if any of you have any paranormal, I should say effed up stories of your own or pictures or videos, we ask that you submit that to us. You can do so at our official website, www.effedupstories.com. That's EFFEDUPSTORIES.com. And it will most likely get on the website and possibly into a podcast. And without further ado, welcome Mike to the show.
How's it going, man?
It's going well. And of course, our trusty co-host Ryan is here.
Yeah, how's everybody doing today?
Everybody's good. So, Mike, let's start just at the part that you came to us with. So, I mean, this for me, I had gotten a message from you that said, we need to talk. You had done this experiment where you listened to our podcast when you went to sleep for a little while, and long story short, your house is possessed. You have to have a priest in. Which, by the way, blew me away just because I was expecting, if anything, it was going to be keywords that would, I don't know, you'd remember something that happened. You heard the word alien, you remembered you were abducted or something like that. I never in a million years would have thought that we would have, brought demons into your home.
Yeah, man, it's gotten, it's been wild. It's been a wild run, man.
So,
go ahead.
If we could just start at where this started for you. Tell me how it started for you. So you heard our podcast about listening to this stuff, and you started. What'd you listen to?
Yeah.
How long did you listen?
Well, I mean, I remember hearing the podcast where you said, hey, we want to, start listening to this stuff at night and see if we can pull some past life regressions, and I come from, I was in a death metal band, and my interests more are in the evil things, the demonic possessions, anything dealing with that. So I told my wife, I was like, well, because I listened, I found you a while back, and I listened to some stuff before I go to sleep. But I told her, I was like, well, hey, they got this old one on an older season of their podcast where they talk about demonic possession. Let's listen to that, before we go to bed every night. And then there was another one. I was like, let's just listen to those and see if that, brings up something, maybe, because I've had experiences before. Let's just listen to that and see what happens. And man, was that a mistake. Man, it started getting, real crazy here at this house. Basically, the first very, very scary thing that happened, and it all relates to the, sleeping and dreams. And this is what really frightened us. I think it was 3 days after that. We'd been listening to it 3 days. We have 4 children. We have a 6-story house. We live in, our master bedroom is downstairs, and our kids sleep upstairs. Well, our oldest daughter, it was 2 o'clock in the morning. Our youngest daughter runs downstairs. I wake up to ungodly terror. I'm talking screaming. I hear my older daughter screaming. I thought somebody was in the house attacking her. Our oldest daughter had run down. Something's wrong with Kenna. She's dying. Something's trying to get her. We tore off upstairs. It was the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. My daughter is on the couch, flopping like she's having a seizure. I immediately run and grab her head because I thought she was having a seizure. She's yelling, "Mommy, Daddy, Mommy, Daddy. God's trying to kill me. He's trying to make me his angel." I mean, she's totally asleep. Her eyes are wide open, and they are solid black. My youngest daughter's seen it. My wife's seen it. She grabs her legs. It just bothers me even thinking about it, man. It tears me up, We finally get her awake, and she's just scared to death. She's shaking. We couldn't get her to talk about it. She come down. We got her in the bed. It took her forever to go back to sleep. Took us forever to go back to sleep. We didn't know what happened at that particular time. It's just the things I've been through. I knew something evil. I mean, we all seen the eyes of solid black. It just doesn't happen. We get her to talk the next day. She said, Mommy, Daddy, there was black cloaked things all around her, and they were telling her that they were going to take her with her, and that they were going to rip her to pieces, limb by limb. We're going to do, what else? All these horrible things to her. And the only really awesome thing that happened was she said right in the middle of it, Jesus appeared and held his hand out and said, "You're coming with me. They don't belong to you. They belong to me." And them things fled. But she woke up, and she woke. When she woke up, she's like, "Is this real?" She kept saying, "Is this real? Is this real? Is this real?" Because she was trying to get out of the dream, and she couldn't, elaborate what was still a dream and what was real. If that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, it does. So your daughter was. Sorry.
You go ahead.
Your daughter was the first one to have one of these dreams that you would later associate with the podcast. So I am to believe right now, you were the only one to listen to the podcast while you were sleeping, right?
me and my wife.
You-
And my wife, she closes her eyes, she's out. So they knew nothing about this, Will. None of the kids knew anything about it.
Okay. So who was the next one to have a dream?
The next one was my wife. Actually, she's out at the moment. She's on the way back, and she can get into the podcast.
What-
But she actually... Go ahead.
Do you mean that she's coming back? You'd like to wait till she gets back to recount her story, or she's just not going to be here?
But she's not here at the house. She's on her way. She had to go run some errands real quick, so it's really up. I can tell you, or she can come in when she comes in and elaborate on her story.
How long do you think she'd be?
I'm not sure. She's supposed to be on her way about 10 minutes ago.
All right. Why don't we? We'll we'll jump to your section, and if she's not back by the time you're done yours, you'll tell hers.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, yeah, she had two dreams that was pretty bad herself. And what really set everything off was when I had mine. Because when people tell you they had dreams, even seeing what my daughter went through, it's still hard for anybody to really, how do you believe, how do you know when you're not dreaming? You're awake, I just didn't understand it. And even my wife, even her doing it, I was like, I just don't understand how they don't know when they're awake and they're not dreaming. I went to sleep, and I had a dream that, it's the best I can describe it, I was in a black, just an open space. I couldn't see. It was real dark. I kept hearing like some kind of chanting in the background. I couldn't make out exactly what they were saying, but it was a chanting. It was like several words I couldn't, it was another language that I couldn't understand really, over and over again, saying the same things over and over again. I had read the Necronomicon years ago, and it kind of just for some reason related to me. That's the first thing that pops in my mind when I was hearing it. And these, just out of nowhere, the best, I drew a picture of it. That's the best I could look. Is the ugliest, craziest things I've ever seen just started grabbing me and pulling me in all kinds of different directions. They had my legs. They had my other leg, my other arm. My other arm, one had me by the neck, and it's like they were trying to rip me to pieces. And in my dream, I remember praying, trying to get these things away from me. And I woke up literally praying, and LaDonna shaking me, my wife shaking me, trying to wake me up. And I jumped straight up out of the bed, and that was it. I was like, I knew a Catholic priest, and like this, because, I still thought I was in the dream. I was literally praying when I woke up. And I was like, this is it. I was like, y'all have to forgive me for not believing anything that y'all had said. I've got to call Father John immediately.
And just for anyone listening, I'm going to insert right here the picture that Mike had sent to me, and this is what you had just described that you had dreamt of. So, were there more than one of these creatures, or just the one? Well, I know that you said there was multiple, but the creature in the picture, is this what they all look like, or was there just one like that and other creatures? Or
that's the only one from my point of view, that's the one I've seen that had my right leg. From what I could tell, they all look similar. There was horns everywhere. It was nuts. That's just the only one that I could see straight on, I could only see the side of his face because he had no leg. And they all look similar to when I drew.
Okay. So, and just for anyone who, I often listen to podcasts myself, but I'm going to bed or, I'm not really watching. Just as a little description of what Mike had drawn here, it's see if I can describe this. It's a demonic looking entity that really has crazy looking horns. There's one on the front that like spirals backwards. There's one on the top of the head that kind of juts outwards in a almost like a stabbing kind of a way, and there's two horns going back to the back of the head, which is shaped almost egg like on the top, or football shape, but the jaw is really really pronounced and long in the front. Has a very skinned, frail neck. And of course, there's horns. Running back almost like behind where the ear would be. So it has a lot of horns. I'm actually seeing 4 right now, and I'm sure there's one on the. No, sorry, 5, and I know there's one on the other side that spirals, as well. There's some spikes coming out of the jawbone. It looks to have really long, sharp teeth. And, it has a very evilish look to it. In particular, the eyes are sunken in, and yeah. So it doesn't look like something that you'd want to...
In other words, a rather, almost historical kind of a take on a devil or demon.
Yeah, it definitely shares the similarities with the kinds of entities that you would associate with demonic entities. So that is essentially what was tearing you apart, Mike. So that must have been.
It scared the hell out of me, dude.
I would say so. So like I guess the interesting part about this, of course, your whole family had been having these dreams. And when you're having them, now we've all heard of lucid dreaming, and we've all heard of, is it not lucid? The kind of dream where it feels real. Is that?
Yeah, that'd be a lucid.
Okay, I thought I was mixing it with something else. So anyway, we've all had those dreams, but I guess the interesting parallel here is that you were all having these lucid dreams that were, demonic in nature. And I found it interesting, for example, that your daughter dreamt of these creatures that were going to tear her apart. They were threatening to tear her apart. And the entities that had grabbed you described as feeling like they were going to rip you to pieces. Right?
Exactly.
So is this something, I guess we're going to have to tell your wife, or you're going to have to tell your wife now.
She's here. She's here.
Okay, well, if she wants to come on and share her story.
Yes, sir. I will turn it over to LaDonna.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey.
Hi, thanks for coming on to the show.
Nice to meet y'all.
So,
I'm my name's LaDonna. I guess y'all know that.
yes. So Mike tells us. Sorry.
Huh? Go ahead.
Mike tells us that, of course, because of us, I guess we've introduced a nightmare into your home. I don't know. I guess we should say sorry, maybe, but I think you should just blame Mike because it was his idea to bring it into your home. So, sorry, Mike. By the way, so LaDonna, you had demonic dreams. At least one demonic dream as well.
Yeah, actually, I had. Now I've had 3. I had another one last week. But the first one was probably the scariest for me. My daughter, I guess he told you about that on Tina. But about a week and a half or 2 weeks after hers, I've, fallen asleep, and my dream was kind of like it was a house, but it wasn't a house, if that makes sense. Like some of it looked the same, but some of it didn't. And like our room in the stream was like upstairs, and you know our bedroom's really big, but and the walls are white right now, but in my dream the walls were all painted red, and somebody had given him this like little seance or summoning or something, and he was just saying, you know, oh, it's just bull crap, and which was something I would never, you know, for Mike to say that, because he, you know, he's a believer in this stuff. So, you know, in anything, ghosts or, you know, whatever. And, I can't really remember like how it started, but he was in this room, there was somebody else, and I'm like telling him, no, please don't, please don't. He throws in what I can remember was like some kind of rabbit fur. I don't even know if it was a whole rabbit, but it was like fur, if that makes any sense. And well, nothing happened. So if you know, it's like my dream, you know, is just steadily going, but nothing had happened. And I go up there, and Mike's not leaving the room. So, but you could hear him in our bedroom talking to someone. And it was just like, when you go in there would be nobody in this room, you know. And, well, I got really upset, you know, and of course this is my dream. So there's like this thing in the middle of the floor in our bedroom. And it was like a pentagram. And in the middle of the pentagram was like this little bowl that came up off of like a little pedestal thing or whatever that he had done that in originally. And so I get mad, and I just go over there and I kick it over. And well, he looks at me and gets really upset, grabs me by my arm, and I don't even remember what he was saying, but what I do remember was horns like came up out of his head. They were uneven, they were black and brown, they were the ugliest things I've ever seen in my life, and it was just really, really scary. Well, my kids have come running to this room, you know, because I guess they hear the commotion and stuff, and my little girl, Tess, who is 10, had come up to the door, you know, and she's like freaked out, so she won't leave the door, but she's like worried for me too, I guess, and he runs over there behind her, but his horns have went back in, like he looks normal again. But he had something in his hand, or I don't even know what it was, but he cuts her on her back, and she's like bleeding, but not like serious, you know, like where she's going to die, but she's bleeding, you know, and he starts laughing, like a horrible laugh. And so then, you know, I'm like, we've got to get out of here. You know, we're just going to leave Mike here, you know, in my dream, and I'm trying to get out of here. And so, like, every time I tried to leave the house, he wouldn't let me. And those horns would come, you know, if I made him mad, they would come back out of his head. Well, we know a priest named Father John. And, well, I was trying to get Father John's number, because I didn't have his number, and I still don't. I need to put it in my phone, actually. But, we have a card, and then Mike also, I thought at the time, had it in his phone, but I guess he didn't or something, I don't know. But anyway, so I was like, I know it's in his wallet. Well, this is where the dream comes back to play, where it looks like our house again, because I'm trying to get out to his truck where he usually leaves his, you know, wallet and stuff. And I'm like, tell the kid, you know, just if he's asking where I'm at, just act like you don't know nothing. I got to get out there to get this number, because I'm trying to get a hold of Father John. And this is still in my dream. So I run out to the truck, and I find his wallet, I find the card, and I'm trying to memorize it, because I can hear him coming closer to outside, because he's yelling. And I'm like saying it over and over and over and over, to the point that now it's kind of waking me up, because, and I can't remember the whole first part of it, but the last 4 digits I remembered when I woke up, like 5501. I was like panicking when I woke up, because he took the card away from me, and at this time I can hear the background noise, which is actually y'all guys, because Mike would always listen to y'all's podcast as he was going to sleep.
Yep.
And so I can hear y'all in the background on his phone, but I cannot move. I cannot wake up. But I can't see nothing either. But I'm terrified, and I don't know what's going on, and I can't say nothing. And Mike says that I said Mikey, which is what I call him. But I don't remember that. And when I do come to, like, I jump back off the bed, kind of looking at him startled, because I was so scared, because it felt so real. Like, I couldn't tell what was real no more. And, well, then I'm like, what is Father John's number? I'm trying to, and that was my first thing, because I was like, write this down. I was like, because I don't know what Father John's number is, but go look and see what his number is. And he was like, what's going on? And I was like, just go get it, before I would even tell him my dream. So he goes out, and sure enough, his wallet was on the truck. So this is like 2 o'clock in the morning, I guess. I don't even know. He goes out to his truck and gets his wallet, and it's not the same number. But I did look it up, and it's in, and it was the 4 numbers were 5501. And if you look that up, hang on a minute, I have it saved, because it was in, where's that? It's in like a scripture part.
Okay.
The number is. I'm trying to, and I was like, well, okay, well, if that's not, it wasn't Father John's number. But, so I'm like trying to figure out what does 5501, why could I remember that, out of my dreams so significantly, I guess, like, well, shoot, hang on. I got it here somewhere. It's just,
well, while you're looking, the creature that you saw, this, now when Mike told me the story, it was Mike with the horns?
Yes, this was Mike with the horns in my dream, yes.
Okay.
And, and another thing was whenever, like when he was talking to this thing, because I would listen in my dream, I kind of felt like it was a princess demon, if that makes any sense to you. Like, she was supposed to have been, like, I felt like it was a woman demon, if that makes any sense. I remember that now. Like, because I'm kind of jumping everywhere.
Wait, Mike was a woman demon, or?
No, like he was talking to
Oh,
him.
okay.
I said, like, you could hear him in our room talking. But when I would go in there, I couldn't see her. Like, I could never see who it was, ever.
But you got the sense that it was a female presence.
Yeah, but I got that sense that it was a female, yeah.
So this entity, the entity that he was speaking with, at some point did it seem that the entity had either left or I guess became one with him?
Something, because it was just, I don't know, it scared the living daylights out of me. Like, I didn't even trust him when I first woke up, because it seemed so real, if that makes sense. But once I seen that our bedroom was not red, and and he's like, baby, are you okay? More himself than I could actually, talk to him, because it was terrifying. And I had counted my heart rate, and because when I woke up, I was in like sweat. I was sweating, and my heart rate was at 214 beats a minute, which that's outrageous.
So what?
And,
how long after the episode with your daughter? Because that was what kicked off the majority of this experience, if I'm correct here. How long after your daughter's episode, where her eyes turned black?
Yeah, that from my dream to from hers, like it was about a week and a half after hers.
Okay, and now just to kind of go back.
Wait! Before we do that, while we're still on the topic of her dream, for everybody who is listening and of course not watching the screen, as makes sense with a podcast, Mike had drawn up, I guess, a descriptive photo of what LaDonna had dreamt. So I'm inserting that into this podcast or / video so that you can see it. And for anyone who's not in front of their screen or just, kind of streaming it on their phone and lying down sleeping like I usually do, I'll just give a little bit of a description. The picture has what I guess would be Mike in the middle of the room, knelt upon a pentagram, and
Yes.
he has the uneven horns coming out of his head, as you had said, which is interesting. Because it makes it look that much more vile. They're very sharp, and I guess bent at different angles and different length. Around the room are what looks to me like glyphs. There are some that you would recognize as a pentagram. You have the number there that you had mentioned, the 5501. And the other images, I'm not sure what the significance is. I mean, I kind of get the 3 upside down crosses. I kind of get that. And there are a couple that look familiar, but other than that, that's what it reminds me of is glyphs or symbology. So that is something, and of course he has this almost like a, what's the word, vignette of black around the image. So I think that would capture the mood, I guess, of what the dream entailed. You can take a look at that picture. So jumping back, I guess, to what you wanted to go with, Ryan.
Well, I just wanted to ask, now when you saw your daughter's eyes turn black, are we talking just the like her pupils were huge, or the whites of her eyes were completely gone and it was all solid black?
They were all, the whole eye was solid black. But it's
So
her whole
there's
eye.
no
it
white.
freaked me out. Like, I was crying, and I'm shaking her. She's shaking, and I'm like, I don't know whether or not to shake her, and then I'm trying to grab her to stop her from shaking all over. So, I mean, it was almost like someone. If you've ever seen anybody go into a seizure, where they've actually, like, they have no control over their body and they're just jumping all over the place, like she was doing that. But her eyes were open while she was doing it, and she was screaming, "Mama, Daddy, Jesus, Mama, Daddy, Jesus," over and over. So I'm like crying and stuff, and I'm thinking, okay, well, let me go get I even had went at the time to go get a cup of water, because like she was right there, and our living room and kitchen was kind of open together. And by the time I turned the water on to get water, and I'm coming back towards her and stuff, she screams out, "Jesus is taking me to be one of his angels," or something like that. And like, I look at Mike just like, and I start crying even more. And it said, "God's trying to kill me to make me one of his angels," is what she had said. My daughter and my baby girl was there. She witnessed the whole thing too. Tess did. So whenever I'm like freaking out, because you don't know what to do whenever you can't see what's going on with your child. You don't know how to save them. You don't. And then when she screamed out that, like, I lost it. Like, I started boohooing and just freaking out because I didn't know what to do. But she wakes up, she grabs me, tight as she can, and the palm of her hands were so hot, like she had touched a burner. Like, and I made tests of them even 2 hours after this had been settled, because they decided they both wanted to sleep with me and Mikey in our bed, and I could not go back to sleep. Neither could Tess, and neither really could Kenna, but she was trying, And I told Tess, I was like, "Feel with your sister's hands," and they were hot. Like, she was just, she wouldn't let go of Mike, but if she was just burning up with fire, like her hands were. And her heart rate, I think, was at, what did I say, it was 246. For a 16-year-old, it's supposed to be like 98 for anybody that knows, or 89. It can range between, 68 to, 98, somewhere in there. That's like the normal range of a heartbeat. And for it to be triple, that's, and it didn't go down for, I know, hours, because I kept checking it.
Well, a unique aspect with your daughters was that it sounds like hers was the only one that had, physical characteristics outside of the dream. I mean, her eyes turned black, the hot palms. I mean, you can kind of account for the heart rate, even to anxiety. But
Yeah.
you can't really account, an entire black eye.
For both her eyes. It wasn't just one, it was both.
Yeah, so I mean, you can't really account that to normal. There isn't anything normal about it. So how did you guys, I guess, move on past that and get back to normal life? Because it sounds like she had this experience, and it was you said like a week or a week and a half later before you had your own dream. So I mean, how did you get from seeing that to just going back to normal life?
Well, we kind of didn't talk about it. We kind of just left it alone. Life really still hasn't gone back to normal, if that makes sense. Like, everybody's been huddling up together because, you put all your money into a house to buy it, to purchase it. And it's kind of like you're stuck here, for right now. And I get to the point where, like, I told him I don't even care about this house anymore. I'd rather just stay, in a motel or something, because it's got to the point that nobody wants to sleep by themselves at all. Like, we have 4 kids, or we have 5, but one, he's only here every other weekend, which is Michael's son. And so my 4, they all are wanting the huddle, which is very rare for them. They're all like 10, 11, 13, and 16. For them to even want to sleep together is very rare. And Kenna will not go into her room by herself, even after the exorcism on the house, which comes into play for the number that was in my dream. That I told you I was saying over and over and over. And when I did look it up, it says, who were with him in the custody of his Lord's house, means which had been cast aside, being put into custody. This is clear from being put into custody. And so being in custody as a state, when one has been cast aside, also dealt with above.
Okay.
So I don't know, that was kind of like maybe saying that I needed Father John here to cast whatever was in Lord's house aside, if that makes sense.
And so that's the passage that you attributed with the numbers from your dream, correct?
Right. And that comes from Genesis.
So after Mike's experience, that is when you all decided that you were going to call in Father John. And
well, actually, I had another dream.
Okay, yeah.
And after that other dream is when Mike was like, okay, and his too. He had a dream. So and our 2 dreams were like a day apart. And I mean, after I had my dream, I had another one the next night. And then he had his that following night as well. And that's when he called Father John. Because, I mean, it had picked up. Like, it wasn't a week and a half after,
So was there anything significant, I guess, symbology-wise or symbolic in these dreams, the ones that we hadn't discussed?
The only thing that I, like in my second dream that I had, I was kind of a bystander. Like I was there, but they didn't know I was there, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was Mike, and I was watching Mike and some other people, and they were standing around the table, and they were conjuring demons. And he was younger, like, Mike used to have really long hair back in his rock star days, but his hair was all cut off. Like, he looks like he does now, but just younger, if that makes any sense. And he even had a shirt on. I remember that his shirt it was black, and it had like an upside down crosses on it or something. And there was other people, but I couldn't tell who they were. Like, but I could see him. He stood out to me more. And they were all around this table, and he was like saying stuff, and like people were getting freaked out, and I was kind of just there to watch it, like in my dream. So I mean, it wasn't really scary, but it was still like, why? Why do I got to dream about this? Like, why put me through that? And so I kind of felt like maybe that dream, between that and Father John, that in my first one that, he needed to come in to clear out whatever was either attached to one of us or, or if it was to this house, because I don't know if Mike told you when we first got this house. And, it's a big 2-story house, in a really nice neighborhood. Well, when you walked in, like, there was candle wax burnt all over the floor. It was on the side of the walls. That's upstairs and downstairs. One of my friends, Tina, and I had found a voodoo doll outside, a little bitty voodoo doll, and I was like, I'm not touching it, and she had picked it up, and I don't even know what she did with it. I think she threw it away, because I didn't want to touch it, and we were just kind of playing around about it, and then when you come upstairs, some of the bathroom was painted solid black, and on a front door, like, you have this big front door, and then on each side it's like these 2 skinny, tall windows the same size of a door. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, well, those were painted solid black with black paint. And then there was a room that was painted solid red, like really ugly red, and candle wax just everywhere. I could not tell you how much candle wax I've had to clean up out of this house. So it kind of made me feel, I don't know, like maybe she was into something, the lady who had lived here before us or something.
Well, yeah, it sounds actually like your house, whoever lived there had the candle wax and the black and stuff like that are things that we associate with people who practice black magic. But I guess the goal here is to try and tie how these podcasts that Ryan and I did somehow, playing in the background while Mike is sleeping, had somehow triggered this all to happen.
And I can even tell you which podcast it was. It was a old lady talking, and she had let somebody, I guess, do a movie about her life story. Yeah. And I remember her saying something. I think one of y'all had asked, was it exactly like that or something like that, or exactly was this the movie exactly as what had happened? And she was like, well, I was really kind of upset that she had put other stuff in there, but for the most part, it was like 90% accurate. I can remember that part of that dream, of that podcast when I was waking up.
I'm trying to remember.
I don't know which one that is, but
yeah. I don't know if I can link that one either, or figure out which one that was. But
she had something about I don't remember really. I just remember it was an older lady, and something about her mother-in-law.
You think you got one there, Ryan?
Well, the Black Eyed Kid episode we did, I guess it's the only one I could think of. A lady with her, well, that would be her sister-in-law. I'm not sure.
It was something to do with her. I think it was something to do with her mother-in-law. She loved her mother-in-law, and her husband kept trying to kill her mother-in-law or something, or the mother-in-law's husband. I can't really remember, but I do remember that old lady talking, and when I was trying to wake up, like I could hear her talking as I was trying to wake up.
Okay, so let's. Sorry, go on.
And that second dream that I had, like, Mike, whenever he would always say, I've done some things in my past that I'm really not proud of. And I would ask him, I would drive him absolutely insane trying to figure out what it was, And even after my first dream, he still wouldn't tell me. Other people knew that, knew him back then, what he had done, and the ones who were there. And then not until Father John came for the exorcism did I find out that my dream where I was a bystander watching Michael was exactly what he had done back then that he would not tell me about. And I dreamt, I had the dream of it as the bystander, watching him do what he would never tell me that he had done.
So, when you called in John, the priest, now, just for everybody out there, I'm going to insert this video here so that you can watch it and listen for yourselves. But there is a section, I'm not even going to say where it is, you guys will hear it, where it sounds like there's a door creak and a voice that says, it sounds like it says, out.
God commands it you. Our Lord Jesus Christ commands it you. The Virgin Mary and all saints command it you. There is no place for you here, Satan, for any of your servants, or any spirit which is under your command, or any spirit that would listen to your direction. I command it you now in the name of God. Be gone and leave this place, and those who dwell here, free of your deception, your torment, your visits, your presence. Be gone now and forever. I command it in the name of God who has sent me here on this night to do this very thing. I command it in the name of God.
There's a bathroom in this room too.
Every part of this place. There's no place for you, Satan, or any of your servants. Just always flee.
That's her
in the name of
growling.
our Lord Jesus Christ. Sir,
It's her growling.
they're growling?
The light
Right
just
there.
flickered.
You did?
Yep.
Well, you
Over
can
here.
flicker and growl, but you must leave now. In the name of God, I command it. In the name of the holy name of our Lord Jesus Christ, I command it, be gone, for there is no place for you. There is no corner in which you may hide. Okay?
The light flickered.
Well, you'll just have to go.
So you can see that there actually is a priest that goes there, blesses the home, and you can hear this voice that sounds like it says out. So you guys have still had experienced, I guess. I mean, the exorcism didn't get rid of it, whatever it was.
No, at first it kind of felt a little better, I guess, because just knowing that we had a priest in here, we kind of felt, I guess, safe for the moment. But the minute that he left, I kept telling Mike, I don't feel no different. And he was like, well, that could be, and I was like,
Did you have any trouble getting the priest to perform the exorcism?
well, the priest said himself that it was like something was trying to keep him from getting here. He had ran a red light, and a cop was coming up directly behind him when he ran the red light. So he was like, well, I just went ahead and pulled over because I knew, I ran the red light. And he said that cop had the lights on and everything and then just passed right by him. And so he was like, okay. And he tells me that he felt like that was something from God letting him know you've got to get where you're going.
Did you have trouble? A lot of people say when they go to get a priest to exorcise a person, well, I guess more so for people, but they have trouble convincing them to, come over and kind of do this ritual. I mean, did you have any trouble, or did he just,
Well, we had scheduled. He had talked to him after Kenneth's dream, and it got put off a couple of times, him coming over, but we didn't have no problem with him wanting to come and, perform it or anything like that. But it just seemed like something kept coming up where we couldn't get him to come that day, if that makes sense, or answer his phone call at that certain time that he had gone all trying to get in here.
Did he have...
And then,
Sorry, go on.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Did he have any, what were his thoughts as he did and after he did the exorcism? I mean, did he, did he walk in there and say that he could feel a presence, that he could sense something that he knew? What were his thoughts?
Yeah, he did say that. He did say that he felt something was not right. He said that he could feel that. when he was in here. And actually, you know, he did an exorcism on all of us too.
Okay.
And Michael was the first one to actually, and he did that before he did the exorcism on the house. And Michael was the first one, and you know, he did it in what is that, Michael? What is it he was saying it in?
Oh, he did the rite of exorcism in English, and then I asked him if he would do it in Latin also.
And is that a conscious thing that you asked, or was it you don't remember?
No, it was a conscious thing I asked. I wanted, for some reason, I just felt like he needed to do it in English and in Latin.
And when he did it, he started losing his voice when he changed over to Latin. It got harder for him to say it, if that makes sense. Like, he was actually losing his voice while he was doing the exorcism on Mike. Like, he was getting choked up. He couldn't get the words out. His voice was, you know, like he would try to say a word and it wouldn't come out. And I looked, because we're in the living room, and I looked at the window because I kept hearing something hitting. You know, now I'm kind of getting freaked out. It's my first one, you know, ever. You know, this stuff came, you know, now it's really happening, you know. And it's like the size of a hummingbird, but it was locusts. And I've never seen a locust in Alabama. And they were hitting the window in the kitchen from the outside and falling. Like they were coming to the window and falling down.
During my exorcism, we had locusts hitting the window.
That's always a good sign.
Yeah.
So
yes, that's what I said.
What was the priest like after he had finished? What was his? I mean, was he optimistic that he had, cast it out, or was he kind of cautious? It'll take more. Like we all come back.
Well, when he come in, he first of all he wanted us all to meet at St. Mike's Catholic Church to come with a game plan, so he could try to figure out where it come from and why it was happening. Because, you know, which I can get into, this has happened in 2 other houses of ours. So I think it's something I've done, and it's connected to me. But after it was all said and done, he wanted, you know, he said, if there's any more problems, you call me back. I don't think there really was any optimism that it was gone. He just said, you know, things should get better. If they don't, contact me. I will come back out.
So, Mike, let's jump back into that. I mean, and this is something we discussed before we decided to do the podcast. But you were into, well, of course, you were into the Satanism and different things of the occult way back. So.
Yes.
And I believe this all really started when you said you had gotten a Ouija board.
Yeah, that was actually after the fact. Well, you know, what really come into my mind was her second dream, because back then I was in a real dark, you know, about when, she seen me in a circle with people. I've dabbled in stuff before. Back then, my mom had just died. You know, I was touring, and I was in a death metal band, Trocar. I was, you know, drinking a lot, you know, doing a lot of, you know, I just, at that point in my life, I just didn't care. You know, I've had things happen before, and the particular dream she's talking about, I went over to a buddy's house. There was a bunch of them over there, and, you know, one of them that knew me prior to that said, you know, started telling the other guys, hey, you know, Mike's done this and that, man. This stuff's happening. They laughed at me and didn't believe me. So I said, well, come here. I had 4 of them. I got them to a table. This is what I would never tell my wife. Got them to the table. We all held hands, and I just started praying to a demon. I know the demon's name. I don't know if I should say it. I don't know what you think about that.
No, you can say it. I'm not worried that
uh,
it's going to jump over halfway
okay.
across the world. Maybe for everyone else.
Well, when I was 18, when we was dabbling in Necronomicon, Marduk, I just feel like this thing has followed me ever since we've ever even dealt with this. So I prayed to Marduk. I prayed to come into my soul. I told him these subhuman, pieces of crap don't believe you exist, and I need you to make something happen. At which the floor started shaking, the lights started flickering on and off, and then everybody run out of the house. That's what she witnessed in her second dream that I believe. But back to that was just to kind of validate her dream. Yes, okay. We lived with her mother for a little while. I just got laid off from my job. I have a picture of Linda Blair as dressed in her makeup in the Exorcist movie, because I love that movie. It's my favorite movie. Signed picture, and I said, I'm gonna buy a Ouija board off eBay, and I want to make a little shadow box and put it in there, because it dealt with the movie, and I thought it would look cool. I had found a magic shop from the United Kingdom, and it had, the Ouija board has skulls on it and stuff, and I'm a big skull fan, so I was like, cool, I'll order that. And
You didn't tell me about it.
yeah, I didn't tell her about it, so she'd flip out. Well, I was at work. It come in the mail, and she wigged out. I was like, it's cool. I'm just going to use it as a shadow box. I'm not going to play with a planchette or nothing. So it was in the house, and it just sat there. Well, we watched Netflix with the laptop. We'd be laying in bed, and we'd see shadows walking back and forth behind the laptop. I mean, you'd see things moving in there all the time. It's just crazy. You'd hear things in the room moving, nothing be in there, nothing be out of place. We don't know if this was linked or not, but at that time, a lot of hostility was being in the air. How everybody was angry, and she had lost a baby. And one night I was asleep, and I woke up praying again, and something had a hold of my leg. Both my legs were in the air, straight up in the air. And when I started praying, they fell. So I just thought, I was like, this is crazy. And then she had a dream, I think, that next night while I was at work. She called me and said I had to burn a Ouija board, which this is where it gets a little interesting also. Come home. We got a big rock. There's a big rock in the backyard. Get the Ouija board and the planchette. Lay it on that rock. Douse it in fuel. Threw a match. And it shot up into flames and just went completely out. I was like, oh, hell. So I went and got the gas can and poured it on there, and the Ouija board was not on fire. But when I poured that fuel on it, flames shot from the Ouija board into the gas tank and almost set me on fire. The yard caught on fire. It was a mess. So I got the planchette Ouija board, poured, and threw it over the fence, and I was going to take it to the dumpster. Well, the paper part on top of the Ouija board that has the numbers and the letters was completely charred, except from the bottom, and a line all the way to no had not been touched at all, as God is my witness.
So that was a message to you.
Yes, it said, no, you're not going to burn me. I went out there, I went and got LaDonna and everything. I said, this is completely insane. Because I couldn't believe it.
So then you had, I believe you said you threw out the Ouija board, and you had moved, like you had had these different experiences in a couple different houses, but at some point it all died down.
Yeah. Well, I threw that Ouija board away. We moved to the house. Everything had died down. We moved to a house, a couple of houses down from where our mother lived. One come open, and we started having weird things happening over there. Doors, knobs would turn. The kids would tell us, and I was like, I didn't believe it. The LaDonna literally watched a one of the little end tables that sits beside your bed move. It shifted like probably a foot to the wall. It slid real slow to the wall. I'm still saying, well, hers moved real fast. I didn't believe it until 2 nights later. I'm sitting there and then I'm looking at my side table move to all the way to the wall, which was about a foot and a half. So it wigged me out. But that in that house was not. The bad thing was not. That was the bad thing. The bad thing was that really, really scared us was that LaDonna kept saying she would hear, because it was wood floors, walking, and I never hear it. And we were laying in bed one night, and I heard like it sounded like hoofed animal walking on the floor. It like run to our bedroom door and stopped. And she was like, "Don't get up, don't get up, don't get up, don't get up." I jumped completely out of the bed because I was like, it's one of the kids. But in my mind, I'm going, I just heard hoof. What is going on? I opened the door and there was nothing there. And I swear to you, it sounded like hoofs running up to our door. I just didn't understand it. But when I had got up to go look, because I went and was going to look I went to the kids' bedrooms. LaDonna was laying in bed, and she, for some reason in this house, and this was the only house she really, really did this in, because they're just real sensitive to real sensitive to things. She heard something breathing down her neck, like a bull. You know what I mean? Like a bull does.
And my hair stood up straight up off the back of my neck.
Yeah, her hair stood straight up on the back of me. And when I got back, she started telling me this. I'm freaking out. All the kids were completely asleep. And when I was walking back to our room, I could hear it directly behind me, following me to our bedroom. It was hoofs. It scared me to death.
Did you jump in bed?
Yeah, I ran and jumped in bed, and I had to go to work. There was no sleeping at that point. It was insane. I've never experienced anything like that in my life. So we directly moved out of that house, and everything died down for a good year, almost 2 years. I still listen to death metal. I kind of try to stay away. I mean, all death metal, has crazy lyrics. I try to not listen to Deicide and Morbid Angel, and that's really talking real bad about Christ and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of death metal out there you can listen to that talks about ripping people to pieces or whatever. And I just love the music, and that's what I played for 10 years. So we find us a beautiful, beautiful cedar house with rock. It was a beautiful, big house over here. 2 houses down from where we're at right now. We move in there, and everything is perfect. Nothing doesn't feel heavy. Nothing out of the way. Nothing. And this house is when I found y'all. I'd listened to the old Art Bell stuff going to sleep. But and nothing really come about it until I listened to y'all's podcast, the old one, talking about the demonic possession. I listened to that going to sleep, and for some reason, it just always pulled me to that podcast. I don't know what it is about it, but I was always drawn to that, because a lot of times I'd fall asleep so I could hear it all, so I'd play it again. Then the house over there started feeling, Will and Ryan, you could feel the evil. And it was just in our bedroom. There was nights I would lay there scared to death, knowing something was in that room. Because from my past experiences, that I could feel stuff like that. We started fighting. It was the air, the atmosphere was heavy. I was pissed off all the time, and I had no idea why I was mad. And this is when my kids started my oldest son. He would see the doorknob it's always in our bedroom. He come to us several times, and I throw it off. But he said, somebody's trying to get into your room. Your doorknob is turning. The door's not opening, but something is open. I'm like, son, you just seeing stuff, whatever. Until one night he woke us up saying, freaking out, saying something was on my chest and I couldn't breathe. It felt like something was on top of me. So at this point, I'm starting, something's going on.
But I could never feel like I felt happy in that house. Like I was content. I didn't care about moving nowhere. And then about whenever we ended up hearing where we both heard it at the same time. It was at night, and we heard a growl in that bedroom. But at the same time, we had gotten this house, but it needed a lot of work done to it to move into it. So I had been over here working on this house while he was at work. And so I kind of felt like it came from here, all because, like, I never did experience anything that they said. Like, I never wanted to leave that house as far as, like, packing up, moving away kind of leave. And when I started working on this house, I got sick. And it's been, 5 months we've been here? 4 or 5 months? And I've been sick every day, to the point of where sometimes I can't even breathe. I have had so many emergency room visits to where I feel like I'm drained. Like, this house has really just took away all my energy.
Yeah, and you can hear me now. I've been sick. We've all been sick. But like she said, in the house two houses down, we were in bed. All the lights were off, and it was an ungodly growl. I've heard it once before. I knew what it was. I was hoping she was asleep when she heard it, but she heard it. And then that brings us over here to this house. This sickness.
Well, my theory, from what I've heard, is that, Mike, I think you opened up something some time ago. I don't think you really ever closed it. As far as burning a Ouija board goes, from everything that I've heard, not that it actually worked, but from everything that I've heard is that it's a bad idea because that's what you use to open the door, but if you burn it or get rid of it, you haven't properly closed it. The door remains open. So I think...
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So I'm thinking... Now, I don't know if a priest could and I don't think it would be any priest. It would have to be someone maybe who's very, knowledgeable on the occult, or like a demonologist or something like that. But what it sounds like to me is that you opened up a door some time ago and it's been following you. It might die off for a little bit and come back. That's pretty common with a lot of people who have demonic entities latched onto them. I think in terms of, because I could never kind of link up how the podcast would, be the root cause of it. What I think is that possibly just, again, like you're going to sleep and you're hearing these different, your brain is centered and focused on these topics. I think that you're subconsciously, reaching out to that doorway again. You're kind of opening the door again for it to come find you. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just.
Yeah.
So that's what my thought is, because other than that, I have to assume that our podcast is evil, but so I think that's what it is. It's just that you're focused on it, and you're drawing it to yourself, just subconsciously while you're sleeping. It probably could have been any content that focused on that topic, as long as you're thinking about it and making that connection. But
I was trying to figure out, because what really scared me was that after we heard, y'all wanting, to do this experiment, my whole family having crazy dreams. It's just I still can't. I still just don't, because the kids didn't know about it, and it's just crazy, man. I mean, we opened the door, but for everybody's starting to have dreams and stuff. I don't know if the demon knew about it too, and said, hey, we'll show you. Or
well, perhaps you're in the right environment. I mean, supposedly, there could have been stuff done in your home before you moved into it. I mean, and that's just assumptions based on the fact that there was candles, a voodoo doll, and black paint. But I mean, short of a teenager that was messing around with it, it could have very well have been someone who was deep into that stuff, right? So I mean,
it was an older woman who lived here.
Yeah, so I mean, you put all the elements together, right? I mean, you probably have something attached to you anyway, something that's going to follow you regardless of where you go until you properly get rid of it. You move into a house that probably already has a history, probably, again, it just makes it that more susceptible, and then you're going to sleep listening to, podcasts on the demonic possession, everything else.
We all get these stories that, we've developed this belief over, decades and centuries that a lot of these spiritual beings can exist in our world indefinitely, and the environment needs to be right. People, and if that comes down to ritual, or what we're really talking about, I guess, is the mindset of the individuals, and it opens that door in our minds and lets them into our world. And I mean, Marduk is he's an ancient deity. It goes back to Samaria, Mesopotamia. Marduk, son of the pure mound. So we're talking about old, ancient names of power.
All right, Ryan.
I mean,
I'm glad you told me that, because ever since that I've seen that name, I never Googled it. I never wanted. I knew nothing about it. So for you to tell me that, I appreciate it, because I never had the balls to even look it up.
Another thing I'd actually like to point out, since you mentioned the Necronomicon, what a lot of people are going to say, and to some extent, it's true, they'll say it's a fictional work by H.P. Lovecraft. But there also are stories that the actual Necronomicon was a book long before that, and that all but it was destroyed. Like all the copies that were left were destroyed, and that some of it remained. Some of it remained in the world. I guess similar to anyone who's seen the movie The Ninth Gate, which is fictional, by the way, but the idea that there was these 3 books on the devil, or I think there was 3 or 9. No, I think there was 3, and they were each one of them had partial real, like the real content that was handwritten supposedly by Lucifer himself. But you needed all 3 books because there was forgeries in all 3 of them, and there was real stuff in all 3 of them, but they were different parts. So they had to be linked up, like the correct parts had to be put together. So,
and it's very important to also establish that H.P. Lovecraft, he was a huge history buff, and a lot of his works that he put together, he derived a lot of the ancient names, straight from history. So, H.P. Lovecraft did invent Marduk. Marduk has been, with in human history for almost since the beginning of human civilization. I mean, it goes right back to Sumeria. So while the Necronomicon itself may be something that was put together by a writer, and since it's seen so many different revisions and renditions over the years, it does have names and symbols and rites that are derived from history. And again, it comes back to that idea that it may not necessarily be a specific set of words or specific set of symbols as much as it's the minds of the individuals who are involved.
Actually, and to add to that, the Necronomicon itself, yes, you could go out and buy H.P. Lovecraft's Necronomicon today. That is, his fictional work, but parts of it could very well be legitimately taken from what allegedly is the real Necronomicon that supposedly was destroyed long ago. So while it's easy to say it's a fictional work, there's more to it than that. That's one thing that I kind of, because a lot of people jump on that right away, but anyone who's looked at, I mean, even and again, like, it's something that people are going to scoff at, but for anyone who's seen that ghost show, Celebrity Ghost Stories, I believe it's called, Marilyn Manson, whose real name was like Brian Warner. He had a story on there one time and it all revolved again around the Necronomicon. And yes, it's TV and it's a ghost show and it's got celebrities. So I mean, you can make of that what you will. But I've actually heard some, quite a few stories from people that, not that I knew them personally, but people I know who knows a person who knows a person, kind of thing. Again, that centers back at this Necronomicon stuff. So yeah, the book is a work of fiction, but it might not all be fiction, and certain parts of it might actually derive from a real book that was Necronomicon before H.P. Lovecraft actually came around.
Right, that's about the only extent of my research that I ever did, because I really didn't want to elaborate on the demon itself, and I read similar things about the Necronomicon and H.P. Lovecraft himself.
Yeah. So Mike, it sounds to me that you're not out of the woods yet with whatever it is that's latched onto you and possibly your family. So I would actually advise that you still keep in contact with that priest. You may need, every time, for a lot of people, one exorcism isn't enough. Actually, in the story, I believe it is of Emily Rose, which was based on a true story.
Annalise.
Yeah, Annalise Michael, right? And
yes.
She had several exorcisms. Not that it really helped in the end, but it doesn't always cast it out with one. And it sounds like you still have, you still have something going on either with you or your house. I tend to lean towards that you have something latched onto you, and maybe your house is just a perfect environment for it to manifest. That said, though, for everybody listening, I do hope that you heard the out part on the video that Mike had recorded on his phone, and feel free to again look over the video and the images and just, what do you guys make of this story? What are your comments? What are your thoughts? I'm still in a spot where I'm processing exactly how I think it all links together, because I still don't know. It's still a lot of variables and different angles to look at it, but ultimately, it really does sound like you have something sinister going on in your home. So I wish that we could leave it at a more positive note, that this had happened and it's behind you, kind of thing.
Right.
But as is in the real world, oftentimes, it's never like that. It's an ongoing thing. Sometimes it goes longer than you'd hope. I mean, that's just the reality of these things. But Mike and LaDonna, I want to thank you guys for coming on and sharing your story. And
Not a problem.
And Mike, very kudos on your artwork, of course, to illustrate the dreams and the stuff like that, and the video. Of course, it really helps to what's the word I'm looking for? Reinforce your story.
Yeah, I had to have, to validate, because it's just been going on and nobody's believed. And with that, it really sets this, the stage for what's really going on.
Yeah, and I think it's really great for everybody out there listening to it. So again, I want to thank you guys for coming on. For everybody out there, we're very interested to hear what your thoughts are on this topic. And that said, thank you for everyone tuning in. If you have an effed up story, video, or picture, or whatever of your own, we ask that you submit it to us at our official website at www.effedupstories.com. That's EFFEDUPSTORIES.com. And this is Will signing out.
Mike and LaDonna, thank you so much for joining us today. Of course, I'm Ryan Sharp. Have a great night, everybody.